What if I told you everything you know about time is a lie? What if we're not actually living in the year 2025, but somewhere closer to 1728? This isn't a sci-fi movie plot. This is a real theory proposed by a German historian in the 1990s, and it's called the phantom time hypothesis. According to this theory, nearly 300 years of history, including the entire Middle Ages, were completely fabricated. Let's dive into the bizarre, fascinating world of a conspiracy that suggests time itself has been tampered with. Part 1. The Theory. Herbert Illig, a German academic, proposed in 1991 that we are living in a historical illusion. According to him, the year isn't 2025. It's really around 1728. Why? Because Illig claims nearly 300 years of history, specifically between 614 and 911 CE, simply never happened. Illig believed that Holy Roman Emperor Otto III and Pope Sylvester II were behind a massive calendar manipulation conspiracy. The motive? To place themselves in power in the millennium year, the symbolic and spiritually significant year 1000. To do that, they needed to add time. So they supposedly inserted fake history into the record, roughly 297 years worth, including characters, wars, architecture, and even entire kingdoms that never existed. Art 2. Fabricating the Middle Ages. To make this deception work, Illig theorized that the church enlisted monks and scribes across Europe to create fake historical documents, chronicles, and royal records. One of the most prominent fabricated figures according to this theory is Charlemagne, a ruler considered the father of Europe. Illig argues that Charlemagne is nothing more than a fictional character, an idealized version of what a medieval ruler should be. Illig even claimed that much of the architecture attributed to the 7th to 10th centuries could have been built later or earlier and misdated intentionally to support the narrative. In essence, the entire Middle Ages might just be medieval fan fiction. Part 3. The Calendar Problem. Illig's biggest proof lies in the Gregorian calendar, the system we still use today. When Pope Gregory XIII introduced the Gregorian reform in 1582, he skipped 10 days to realign the calendar with the solar year. Illig thought this correction should have required more than 10 days if 1,600 years had truly passed since the Julian calendar was introduced. He argued this mismatch supports the idea that fewer years have actually elapsed, suggesting nearly 300 phantom years were added somewhere along the way. So instead of correcting the date by 13 days, the church only needed 10, which, to Illig, meant something wasn't adding up. Part 4. Debunking the theory. So, are we really in the 1700s? Historians overwhelmingly say no. There's a mountain of primary sources, archaeological evidence, dated astronomical events, and carbon-dated artifacts that support the conventional timeline. For example, solar eclipses from the so-called phantom period match perfectly with modern astronomical calculations. If those years had been fabricated, the alignment wouldn't make sense. Also, documents and relics across multiple civilizations, not just Europe, correspond to this same historical timeline. It would have required a global-level conspiracy centuries before global communication existed. Even the spread of the Islamic calendar, Chinese dynasties, and Mayan records all match our current dating system. So unless every civilization on Earth was in on the lie, it just doesn't hold up. Part 5. But why do people still believe? Despite being widely debunked, the phantom time hypothesis continues to intrigue conspiracy theorists. Why? Because it taps into a deep distrust of authority, especially institutions like the church, monarchy, and historical academia. It also plays into the human fascination with hidden truths, the idea that we've been lied to and only a select few are uncovering reality. And of course, let's be honest, it's a wild and entertaining idea. So, are we living in the 1700s? Probably not. But the phantom time hypothesis is a perfect example of how even our most basic assumptions, like what year it is, can be twisted, questioned, and turned into a global mystery. What do you think? Could the Middle Ages have been faked? Drop your theory in the comments. And if you want more conspiracies that bend your brain, hit subscribe. Until next time, keep questioning everything.